which, according to me, though I am hesitant to say this because I got it wrong last time, I think it's Sarah Moberley coming on screen now. Thank you, Sarah. Lovely to see you, and I welcome you to talk about supporting ethics, applications, and timely responses, the holy grail of our researchers' needs. Thank you very much. Really looking forward to this.
Sarah, just before you start, Sarah, if anyone wants to ask Hayley any questions, she had to go out and come back in, so the questions have gone. So if you want to ask Hayley a question about her Aboriginal subcommittee, can you please put them back in the questions and answers so she can answer them for you? Sorry, Sarah.
Oh, good. Oh, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really enjoying the conference very much and the opportunities that the online format offers for so many people to participate. I appreciate the next sentence is not what a conference organiser always wants to hear, so apologies, Lindsay and Gordon. I've gone slightly rogue with the presentation. I'm now calling it Stiletto Take Two. Listening to the presentations over the last few days, I've really wanting to be looking at the bigger picture of the perception of research ethics being a painful process and the work that my team has done to change that narrative. So I'm presenting on behalf of my team, my ethics team, Lisa Wazine and Elizabeth Montgomery. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that we live and work on, the Wonnarua land that I'm joining you from today, here near Maitland, and also acknowledge the lands participants are joining us from. By way of background, Hunter New England Local Health District is one of the largest health districts in New South Wales, covering 24 hospitals, numerous community services, and more than 20,000 clinical staff. So I'm keen to hear from you all to check on my assumptions on the narrative around human research ethics processes. If you could put a comment or a reaction in the chat, what is the one word or reaction that you would use to describe the experience of submitting or processing an ethics application? But overall, probably largely negative. So I started in this role about 3 years ago. I came with a background in clinical research. I knew the pain of going through an ethics application, both a smooth process and a difficult one, where there were many, many months of back and forth. So I've joined a really great team who are motivated to support researchers facilitate a smooth journey from submission to approval. So rather optimistically, our team goal is ethics approval first time, every time. So to do that, we first had to take a step back and look at the pain points. I'm sure most of you online would have had experience these issues firsthand. So one of the main pain points was the ping pong between the ethics committee and the applicant. So looking through those pain points, if we start with education and awareness, we had lots of tools available on our portal. We appreciate clinicians are really busy, often doing research when the clinical work is done, and the clinicians need to know where to go quickly for information. Regarding our submissions, some were excellent, others were poor quality, did not acknowledge or address ethical issues, did not justify the methodological approach in line with the national statement. It's clear they hadn't read it, they were just trying to wing it. There was sometimes inconsistency across documents. It was also clear that not all investigators, such as the senior researchers or supervisors, had not read and approved the application. With respect to our review processes, we had long meetings, which are exhausting and didn't really promote debate. Some reviewers sometimes read out the reviews in full. The minutes of the meeting was very time-consuming to prepare if the reviewers did not provide the specific section of the document that they were querying. So documents needed to be cross-checked. All of this led to delays. We had multiple requests for more information. On average, we were at approximately 2.7 per application. So it's clear there were issues with communication between HREC concerns and the applicant understanding and being able to address those concerns. Final approval often took months. Post-approval activities that were pain points included amendments that didn't need to go to the HREC, such as changes in site staff, or approaches that could have been built into the protocol, such as the specific time that a survey would remain open. So they didn't really have ethical implications. And if the researcher had built in some potential approaches to that, that could have been avoided. Oh, sorry. So changes implemented were all around these key issues. The first thing we did was take a look at which staff members were completing which tasks. So the processes had been occurring the same way historically, and we decided to reallocate tasks according to expertise and risk. We conducted education sessions with key research groups. One of the key things that the task shifting allowed for was pre-submission support. We developed processes for streamlining our reviews and the clarity of applicant feedback. We established a REDCap tool for projects to complete an ethical risk checklist to determine if ethical oversight was required or not. We also recently implemented an anonymous HREC feedback survey. So I'll just go over these changes in more detail now. So education, which was education and raising awareness really of our office and the support that was available to clinicians. We conducted education sessions with key research groups talking about ethical pathways and tips and tricks for a smooth approval pathway. We established an online Q&A weekly session that people could drop into. We started ethics clinics in clinical spaces so that clinicians could discuss any aspect of a submission they were planning or receive support with our Regis online system. So the pre-submission support included a review of all the documents. So this process was really about reminding the applicant that the HREC relies on the written word. They require adequate detail. So addressing some of the administrative issues allowed for the reviewers to consider the critical ethical issues, not the administrative ones. We checked for consistency across documents. We ensured that the approach was justified according to the national statement. We checked on health literacy standards, really simple things like footers that we need for version control, but are often missed, and the correct complaint statement. Another simple thing, which would have otherwise meant that the application would have had to go back to the applicant for changes. So this resulted in me being a bit more protective of the HREC time and raising the bar for projects to be eligible for review. So we created a new review form for our HREC. Rather than reviewers reading their entire review, we asked them to present a synopsis and outline the key issues that they would like the HREC to discuss. For example, the approach to consent. The remainder of the review is then separated into document type with specific references to relevant sections and the question for the applicant to answer with reference to the national statement. We've tried to encourage the reviewers about the importance of including the specific reference in their review so that the executive officer does not need to spend a huge amount of time cross-checking what section of each document that the reviewer was referring to. So this is still a work in progress. This doesn't suit all our reviewers and we meet them where they're at, but when it works really well. We've also revised our feedback form, which gives general feedback. We try to give some positive feedback and then outline specific comments per document referencing the relevant section of the national statement. We also have frequent comments saved in a template to reduce time. We established a REDCap database for clinicians to access directly and moved away from a paper-based form. So the clinician outlines the purpose, methods, lists students that may need to be onboarded, outlines the requirements for data extraction and completes the ethical risk checklist. The research office then reviews the project and makes a determination on the appropriate review pathway. A reference number and PDF of the checklist is automatically created. If there are no ethical risks, an automated email is sent to the applicant and the head of department with a PDF checklist. At this time, we also remind them of the requirements for data management and publication of health data. So this approval email is copied into relevant staff, such as HR or ICT, based on the requirements of that project. So we started this with a soft launch about 6 months ago, and we already have about 160 projects in that REDCap database. So this has had a drastic impact on our workflow and the number of emails that we no longer need to deal with, and has allowed more time for more pre-submission support for clinicians. It's also decreased the amount of time that it takes us to review these applications, on average 1 day compared to 10 days using the paper-based checklist. So finally, we've implemented an anonymous feedback, a form to inform continuous improvement, but also check for evidence to determine if we're meeting our team goals. So our feedback is limited to the past few months, but it's showing that researchers really appreciate our role, and importantly, the researchers felt we had their back, that they were confident that the Ethics Committee ensured that the research was compliant with national standards and legislation. Interestingly, we've also had applicants report that the review actually improved the merit and integrity of their research, which is really exciting finding, an important step towards changing that narrative. And there's a little word here. Someone actually said it was a delightful process. So this graph presents our metrics over the past few years. So the time on the x-axis and the number of days on the y. So looking at the blue column first, you can see that the number of days with the research office has not really changed over time. But just as Susan reflected earlier in this session, the number of days that the applicant is with the researcher is actually more than that has been, well, to start with, than it was with the research office. So we've seen a massive reduction from over 40 days to about 5 days that the application sits with the researcher. So our internal metrics have also improved. We decided that we would, one of those metrics would be outright approvals. That absolutely never happened prior to this project. And now we have regular outright approvals, which is really exciting. Another surprising benefit was the implications for the experience of the HREC members. We have much more debate on critical issues, which really enhances collective decision-making. Members report that the meeting is more enjoyable as the quality of the applications has improved and allows them to just concentrate on those key aspects. So finally, I would like to thank my team, Lisa Wazine and Elizabeth Montgomery. I'm always impressed by your positivity, patience and enthusiasm, and I look forward to continue to work with you whilst we chip away at the narrative of that research ethics is actually helpful, supportive process. So thanks for having me, and I'll hand back to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Sarah. I think all of us would absolutely love to get into the details of that. I do. It sounds like it was just the three of you working that project.
Yes, we are a small team.
That's extraordinary. And how many applications about do you get a year, just so we can get some idea of the scale?
We get about, I think, about 120.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But that's greater than low risk.
Sorry, you said I missed that last
about
bit.
120 greater than low risk.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. That is an extraordinary piece of work, and I just now want to come across to Australia and go around all of these human ethics committees and find out how they do all these things. Thank you so much, Sarah. I hope you'll see that there's a lot of congratulations in the field, and I'm sure that there'll be a few phone calls coming your way from other ethics committees across Australia and New Zealand.
More than happy to discuss. People are welcome to reach out.
Any chance there's a kind of paper that sets out the project?
Yes, it's in draft.
Fantastic. You'll have to let us all know. That's wonderful. Sorry, I keep on looking around. My dog is moving behind me. Thank you.
Sarah, there are plenty of questions for you
Questions.
in the Q&A. So I think a lot of people were very excited by what you've done. So congratulations on that. Nice work.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.